Well, hello. I am joined this afternoon by former double Olympian Chris Cook and international sports psychologist Caren Diehl. We would like to take just a few minutes out to introduce you to a brand new program that I find very, very exciting indeed. We're calling this World Class Performance for a reason, sort of does what it says on the tin type reason. This is all about helping you to become absolutely the best you can be and work towards becoming world class in your field. A couple of questions for you guys. Cookie, who is this for primarily?
Do you know what? I was thinking about this the other day when I was kind of thinking about who the program really hits out at. Essentially, at the heart of it, it's anybody who's looking for that extra edge. You've heard it a million times before. It's for people who in teams. I'm working with management teams at the moment who are finding the content of this really interesting and intriguing. And you know, for a lot of people, it's not that they don't know it. They've got the understanding, they've got the knowledge. It's just implementing it. That's that next step that they need. They need that guidance and that help to implement it. So anybody who feels like they're strapped for time and strapped for all those things that are pushed and challenged on a daily basis. However, when we get things in order and we really focus on what we need to achieve in that moment, it's amazing what we can achieve.
Yeah.
But we get distracted a lot. So anybody who kind of isn't quite focused on their goals and their targets at this moment in time, this is the sort of program that they'd benefit hugely from.
Yeah, I've talked to a few people who are looking to make a real step change in their performance. And it doesn't matter whether they're a business leader, a musician, a baker, or whatever. It's about helping people make that next real step in their performance, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And I think people need to understand that in order to get the results, there needs to be some personal development that happens first. It has to come from within. And when that happens first, the rest starts to follow. And the beautiful thing about it is they get to take that gift everywhere. They get to take that gift in all areas of their life. And that's kind of what changed for me when I started to focus inward, reflect inward. The gifts that started to come my way were just tenfold.
Yeah, fantastic. Caren, I know you've been immersing yourself in Be World Class TV for almost a year now, and you know this content inside out. Why do you think the content is particularly valuable to people? What have you seen so far?
I think it's valuable because you kind of learn that it's for the average person. I mean, some of the stories that we hear about, it's someone who never imagined they would do something, and then suddenly, you know, they got inspired, and then they set their goal and set their targets and work towards it, you know. We had Anne who went to the North Pole, a mother of, you know, of kids, I think it was twins, you know, and then she just decided, let's do this. And through hard work, through working on her character, through persistence and consistency, she did it. And so it's just, you learn so much from these individuals about the struggles they went through, their thought process, and how they overcame these struggles and the hurdles that they faced, how they stuck with it. And I think that just applies to, like Chris said, it applies to anyone and everyone who wants to get that extra edge, who has that goal that they want to achieve. And it's just like working internally and, you know, working on those characteristics that are just going to get you there. So you learn from these people from different walks of life on how they got there. And it's just like, it's inspiring. But you can kind of learn it's not rocket science. It's literally, you know what you need to do. You just need to actually do it.
Do you know, I often describe this. Look, I run lots of sessions which are titled "How Ordinary People Become World Class." And do you know, I think sometimes people don't actually appreciate these were ordinary people. You know, and if we look at them case by case, Andy McMenemy, who broke world record by running 66 ultramarathons, was just a guy who fell out of a corporate job, was made redundant, and looked at his life one day, decided that he put too many things in what he called one day aisle, and that it was time to go and do some of this stuff. He wasn't a runner at the age of 45, and when he was 50, he'd broken a world record for running 66 ultramarathons in 66 days. I mean, you know, he was just an ordinary guy who achieved something incredible. I often talk about Cookie in the same way.
I feel it. I feel exactly like that. It's interesting that you say that, because the experience I went through trying to get to the very top of the sport was exactly that. Just an average guy who had this big dream. That bit's never left me. I still feel like that 9-year-old who embarked on the journey, that start of the journey. And I think the real goal in this sort of work is the person you become in the pursuit of any goal. You know, and I heard a phrase the other day: good judgment comes from experience. Most experience comes from bad judgment. And I thought that fits perfectly with me, because I needed to learn and understand that mistakes were part of the process. Failure wasn't the opposite end of success. It was actually a stepping stone too. That was a hard pill to swallow, and it was a harder pill to swallow as audiences grew bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And even now, as I grow through business, the audiences are growing bigger and bigger, and the following's getting bigger and bigger, and it seems like the pressure's getting more. But actually, I invite in pressure now, because without it, I don't have adrenaline. Without it, there's no risk. Without it, there really is no reward for me. So now, instead of looking at it with anxiety, I look at it with kind of fond eyes of, here it comes. This is what I've asked for.
Yeah.
But that's taken a long time to get there, and it's taken a lot of persistence through working through those character traits. You and I have worked together so much on it.
Yeah.
But working through those and scaffolding that, and understanding that whilst your personality may be one thing, and that might be your preference or your default setting, what you can scaffold and build in through your character and through the challenges that you face is almost endless.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one thing that I suspect many people may not fully appreciate, is that when you set out on your journey, you didn't have all of the characteristics required to be a champion. You had to learn them and develop them along the way.
Absolutely. And these were things that kind of, sometimes they were presented really obviously, other times they were blind spots. Being brave enough to see them is one thing. Sprinkling a bit more courage on to tackle them is another thing. And I think getting your right team in place is absolutely crucial. You know, it is an individual sport that I was in, which is swimming, but actually when I look at it, it's probably got just as many team dynamics as any other sport, especially when you're pulling together experts. And there may be different opinions, different personalities, different characters in the room, and that you then become, without knowing it, you then become the leader of your own journey. But it needs a North Star. You know, we've talked about setting the 2 lengths, being focused on the powerful single thing that you're in business to do. Now I've got 2 businesses. That's exactly what I follow. I follow that principle. Not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. And understanding that was a task in itself, which took me many years, as you know.
Yeah. So I mean, all of the components that we've built into this program, the ability to get your mental game right, develop the characteristics, develop the mental toughness, develop world-class thinking, be able to simplify, develop a winning mindset, and to be able to build a team around you and be able to lead, all of those components are in this program for a reason, because as you know through your own experience, they're actually the pillars that build world-class performance.
Absolutely.
We're going to coach this in a couple of ways. So there's some one-to-one coaching and there's some peer group coaching. Caren, what do you think the real value of the one-to-one coaching is?
I think the value is it then helps you kind of tweak it so it applies to you. So you're learning about all these amazing stories, inspirations, and now it's basically, it helps you be accountable and actually apply the stuff and check in with one of us to see, okay, how do I adjust it or tweak it so it works for my environment or my circumstance that I'm going through, and making sure that you know, being in your discomfort zone, it might mean different things. Sometimes we kind of hold each other back a little bit, saying, no, we are in our discomfort zone, but we're not really pushing it. So you have these one-on-one is kind of where you get that extra push that you might need to kind of go, okay, you know what, I'm taking the leap, I'm going for it. And so, yeah, it's really valuable to kind of have something where you have someone to talk to. You might have questions that you want to ask and don't feel like asking in the peer group. So this is kind of where you can fine tune things and ask the more difficult questions, the more personal questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there are so many people that hear inspirational stuff and they think that's brilliant, but they don't quite know how it applies to them. And I completely agree. This one-to-one coaching gives you the ability to absolutely apply this to you. And also to have a coach who can challenge you on this stuff as well and say, are you actually doing it? I know you know it now, but are you actually doing it? And also to work through that process with you of sort of starting out with a good idea, trying to put it into practice, but encountering challenges along the way, because it doesn't always translate the way you think it will, and be able to go around the learning loops until you actually start making it work. Yeah, cool. Plus there's the peer group, obviously. Cookie, what do you think the real value of the peer group is, of having a group who are learning with you?
I think there's so many benefits. One is the shared learning space, that you're kind of learning together, you're growing together. There's that, I do believe in personal development, that connection between human to human is absolutely fundamental. You know, we've got these phones in our pockets, but it's kind of a barrier to communication. Many a time when you really think about it, we've never been so connected, we've never been so disconnected. So being part of a group where you're actually physically walking through it, you shared risk. I think it's really important as well to have people who are kind of bastions and champions within your group that you look up to. But I also believe we should never give away our personal power. And that's you know, when you're in a group and the energy's just right, it feels great. You can almost share anything. And I've felt the power of a group myself as I've gone through my own previous career and a previous life, but also now sharing a really close counsel where you can kind of get off your chest exactly what's happening. And what you often find is other people go, yeah, me too. And it's certainly not a place where misery loves company. I don't mean in that sense, but just okay, you're going through it, how are you tackling it? And it's nice to be around experts in their own field, or practitioners in their own field, because I don't believe I'm an expert. I believe I'm still a student. And I pretty much always will be. And I was, even right up in my Olympic final, I was still a student of the sport. I believe that we've got to look for new ways in which to absorb the learning, because like Dino and yourself always say, Simon, it's rarely an information problem, it's an implementation problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been working with a group of senior leaders, and we've got them in a peer group learning together. And you're right, they really appreciate the ability to share the challenges they're going through, draw on other people who are going through the same challenges. As you know, I'm a big fan of permanently borrowing good stuff. So sharing those ideas, sharing other people's solutions, but also being able to just work things and bounce ideas off of each other. You know, I'm also a big believer that, you know, if you've got 8 brains on a problem rather than one, you've got more problem-solving power on it. You've got different perspectives, different ways of thinking and tackling things, different eyes and ears. So all of that, I think, is a massive benefit of the peer group. Cool.
I think it also helps. Like, I just did the live challenge, and in that group, it's just like you're pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. You're trying new things. And so there's a whole group of you that are going through the same experience. So you might not necessarily be bouncing off ideas, but it's just you have that support in a group that you feel comfortable with. So you can push yourself, and knowing that everyone else is experiencing it. And so you can encourage each other to kind of go through, okay, let's just try this. You know, it's a safe environment that we're in. We can talk about our fears and our worries, and together we'll find a solution on pushing through.
Yeah, absolutely. And over the course of 12 months, because this is a 12-month program, you're also likely to develop some really great relationships, some really strong new friendships, which is a massive byproduct of doing it. So that's it. That's the new program. You hopefully can see why we're so excited about it. If you want to know more, drop any of us a line. If you want to get hold of me, I'll share my email in the post that I send out. I'm sure these guys will too. Just drop us a line. We're kicking this off in a few weeks. So if you want in, then let us know. Cool. Have a great day. Take care.